That toy life.
To catch these ghosts, you need the real Ghostbusters.
Nice landing, Han Solo.
Spaceships and Luke Skywalker sold separately. Batteries not included.
That toy life.
What up, world?
Hi, my name is James Cameron, and I just made the biggest movie of all time. Yeah. Look at me with my blue people, the water.
So, speaking of that, I was going to say, speaking of James Cameron, I saw this on like TMZ recently, where he was coming out of a premiere or something, and there was a lot of autograph hounds waiting for him, and he just blew right by him. He was just not interested, which I understand, because most of them they always flip those for profit. But it's like, it is a weird tactic to be so like flagrant, like, I don't know. He just had no qualms about just blowing past everybody, and then they turned on him, and then he just flips them off. Like, he rolls his window down and flips them off. And I'm like, wow, that is insane. Because it just scares me. It's because I would still love to meet him and be like, I'm a huge fan of Terminator 2. That's like my number one action or thing of all time, man. Like, I respect him for what he's done, and he's a great filmmaker. But I feel like the Avatar movies are kind of a waste of energy.
Well, here's my thoughts on who he might be as a person. Is I think in a regular, normal setting, like you're just out to eat, just to hang out, I think he's probably a pretty normal dude. But from what I keep on hearing, and then you keep hearing after stuff, when it comes to on-set stuff, it's either you're going to agree with him or you're going to hate him. Like, I look at, like for one big example, look at how Terminator Dark Fate went. Tim Miller, right after that movie, he'd said for a bit, like, I will never work with James Cameron again. I like him as a guy, but I don't ever want to work with him. Now, apparently they hashed out their problems afterwards, but yeah, it sounds like he's got one of those personalities where he it seems like he's a producer on that film, so it sounds like he demands his way, or right. And you're going to agree with him even if you're the director.
I know in that movie in particular, it seemed like he had a bigger hand in it, and yeah, he seems like an abrasive kind of guy.
Yeah,
but yeah, I went and saw the new Avatar. Ashley, didn't you go and see the new one?
Yeah, yeah. Before you get that, I was just going to say I've seen it. Same TMZ though show George Lucas doing the same exact thing with fans.
Right,
Did it come up?
And it's crazy.
He didn't.
That's why I'm like, right.
I was gonna say that just seems a
me.
little too. That seems a little too strong for George Lucas. George Lucas, I imagine he's more like, "Oh guys, don't back off, guys."
No. Yeah, I just feel like if anything, they would just walk by and just be like, "Sorry," but like
no, he did tell him, he was like, you're just trying to get these autographs from me so you could turn around.
Oh, I remember that one. Yeah.
Like $500.
You're just
trying to I feel like that one. But see, that one felt like a direct. Like this person, like they had a camera in his face and everything.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. These people were filming. It was just like like you're just watching James Cameron. Like if somebody was just like filming him coming out of a premiere, and all these like autograph seekers are waiting, which they probably all had cameras too. But it was just crazy. He didn't even give them the time of day. It was just like straight to the limo. And yeah, it was just funny. But no, George Lucas the same way. You would think they would at least just be like, "Sorry, guys," and then just move. That's what I would at least do. I'd be like, "Sorry," but you don't owe them anything. It's not like you have to go over and interact. I would just acknowledge their existence. You know.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's just funny though. I thought the new Avatar was. I went and saw it in the new, not the biggest IMAX we have in town, but I went and saw it in IMAX 3D, and I thought the 3D was good. I mean, it was good. It just like the first one. It's not gimmicky. It's way more immersive. It's got just more about the depth. So in terms of that, it was really good. The movie looked beautiful, all the water sequences and stuff. I didn't notice the frame change, the frame number changes, because apparently in the action sequences and things like that, they were supposed to like double the frame rate so that it would be a lot smoother in 3D. I didn't really notice that like I noticed the frame rate and like The Hobbit, Ray. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah,
but,
the 48 frames.
Yeah, because apparently with Avatar, he wanted it not entirely in 48 frames, but basically he had the whole movie in what was it? It was in 48. I think it was like in 48, and then all the speaking scenes they halved the frames to 24 frames or something like that. Or slowed it. I don't know, something like that. But they I'm always cool. I love the technical aspects of especially James Cameron's stuff, because that's what he kind of pumps when he's pushing these movies out. And this one, it was cool and all, but I didn't see anything that was totally mind blowing. I mean, it looked good, but it wasn't. It still just looked like a demo video.
Well, no, I mean, I like the first Avatar movie. I'm not like I'm going to go out and buy, figures from Avatar. It didn't resonate with me like that, but I thought it was a decent movie, and this one was better than the first one.
I agree. I thought it was better,
and I saw it in 3D IMAX too, even though it's kind of a crappy IMAX theater. But
here's a question, because I always hear, like, especially when it comes to the Avatar movies, I hear with this more than any other type of, like, any film that's come out in recent years, I always hear the thing where sometimes when there's criticism of it or something like that, or people say, like, I saw it on at home or something like that. People always say you have to have seen it in theaters to see how truly good it is. Now, that's what I'm getting at, is that should it matter what specific, like, view form you're watching a movie in, as long as the story's good?
It shouldn't, and the story's decent. It's just with the Avatar movies, there's another layer on top that's like a visual spectacle, and then the story layer underneath.
But doesn't that hold it back then? Because then it just seems like if you just watch it on the small screen, then that sheen is gone, and then it's left holding on. It's left standing on its own merits. Then
no, I mean I own a copy of Avatar on Blu-ray, and I may watch it once a year since it came out, and it doesn't like hold anything. I mean, the first movie, I don't really like. Oh God, I wish. Yeah, I mean, I do wish I could go see it in 3D again, because it looks so beautiful in 3D. But to me, I like the story too. So
that's what I get at about, is like people that kind of argue that you need to watch it in this certain way or this sort of certain format.
Well, I think for movie files, you need to watch it in.
Yeah, I guess I could get it like that. Yeah.
No, that's what I was going to say, Ray. What's your opinion on that? Like, the question directed back at you. What do you think if the story is not strong, then all of that's just worthless?
I'm thinking if you can't enjoy the movie on a small screen, then it really wasn't standing on its own to begin with. If it has to be viewed where you have to be wearing these glasses, you have to be watching this screen that's this gigantic, then it's just something that's relying on trying to show you how pretty it is, and just instead of just telling something.
If it's gimmicky, I would say that with the Avatar movies, though, if they were gimmicky, that would probably be the case. But they fall in probably with everything else, where even on the small screen, it translates then to like a little video game that kids can enjoy, and there's so much rewatchability with it.
I think
that the story is be damned, because even with the Avatar movies, both of them, the newest one too, they have a very simple story. It's bad guys versus good guys doing bad things to planet. But this time, bad guys resurrected to, it's all just kind of like really gimmicky, dumb things to just kind of push the medium. And here's where I kind of stand on it. I agree with you to a certain extent, but there's also layers of cinema as well, because sometimes there's small screen movies that just, you go and watch it in the theater and you were like, golly, man, like it was a little boring, but if you watched it at home, you were probably like, I was really engulfed in it, because you were probably just looking for a certain experience. But because I've seen plenty of movies, and I will say one of them being Star Trek Into Darkness, very weak story. I can watch that movie repeatedly and I can tell you every flaw in it. I can be like,
too,
but I can poke out every single, especially the last act of the movie is one giant flaw. It's almost a circus at that point, but it's like I enjoyed it so much, and also on multiple levels. So when I went and saw it in IMAX 3D, it was a spectacle. It was better than in Avatar to me, because it was a spectacle like I've never seen before and haven't since. But even on the small screen, it's still got the wow factor where it entertains me and I can enjoy it. But I agree with you. Some movies where they depend too much on just 3D gimmicks and stuff like that.
Well, it's also like
when the story's crap.
Well, it's also like, certain filmmakers do kind of get belligerent about you watching their movies in a certain format to a point where I just roll my eyes at them. Like,
that's why I look at these movies.
David Lynch, I remember famously, there's a little clip you can find where he's doing an interview and he says to somebody, if some kid's watching one of my movies on his cell phone, he's not watching a movie. He's not watching any part of a movie if he's watching it on his cell phone.
But they're coming to it from a different angle than you.
I get that they're coming to it, but they're also coming to it. They're coming to it from. They're coming to it from an angle that's very. It's almost that old man yells at clouds things, where it's like you don't want to accept that visual mediums are changing, and that there's becoming a more diverse selection of ways that people can enjoy your media.
I get that, but when they got into filmmaking, the theater was your main draw. So they make films for the theatrical viewing, right? They wanted you to come in there and see everything big and loud, So I mean, and I think they're just trying to save that experience, because it is an experience when you go to the theater. I mean, no matter, I could go watch what's a horrible movie. I mean, I could go watch some horrible movie and not go to sleep in the theater just because the experience of being in the theater, right? Huge screen, surround sound, eating popcorn, drinking Coke, whatever.
Like the latest Minions or something like that.
Yeah, even if it's Minions, and
which I've never seen. I don't think I've seen a single Minions movie except for one of the original. What's the first movie they came from? Despicable Me. Yeah. I saw that, and I think that was about it.
Yeah, so I think they're just trying to come at it from that angle to save that experience, because honestly, that experience is sort of, I don't think it's going to last. I mean, I think
but Ray does bring up a good point that the directors, though, that are defending that medium also do need to focus a lot more on their screenwriting. I think that even with James Cameron, I'll say this with watching this movie, because I guess we don't have to be too spoilery, but at the same time, I don't know if Ray, if you care, but I'm just saying, but I'm saying, in terms of editing and story, and so I feel like there were times where you probably could have trimmed the movie down and it was sort of longer, but it wasn't that. Here's another thing, though, and this is kind of in defense of James with this movie. There's a lot of press around the length of this movie, and it's not that long. I'm like, wait, it's really, I mean, I'm just saying, it's no longer than watching a Harry Potter or a shorter Lord of the Rings or like a Marvel movie. Yeah. It's really not that much longer. So it's like I've been seeing all these people talking about like intermissions during movies, or like, are movies getting too long? They needed it. And I will say that movies, for the most part here lately, I think have gotten a little long and heavy-winded at times, especially the ones that go straight to streaming. I've noticed they just suffer from editing, or if you're Tyler Perry, you just suffer from poor editing, and I think that's a craft unto itself. People applaud filmmakers like Martin Scorsese and Quentin Tarantino and all these people. The secret sauce to a lot of those movies is editors. Like they have, and they'll have like the same editor they always work with, and there's a style to it, and it's all about the editing. And a lot of times these big movies, they kill it with the editing. Either the action sequences are poorly edited, or they're too, like, I don't know, like they're too focused. Now in with the new Avatar movie, they were really good about trying to get you to enjoy and experience the world. So it kind of felt like a Disney ride almost. or like a mixture of a Disney ride or a National Geographic experience. So I kind of applauded that, but at the same time, it's very what's the word? I mean, to me, it's like heavy-handed. It's very like James Cameron just kind of showing off a big technical demo. And that's how I felt about the first movie. It's just sort of like, look, this is how the cinema can go. And I'm like, that's cool. Now, what movie are you going to actually show me to in this cinema that you've created for me? Now, what are we going to get?
Blue.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But I mean, like, I just want to see him do something with the same technology, but do something that's not Avatar. Like, and it doesn't even have to be a sci-fi movie. It could become, it could be a Western. But utilizing what he's learned in the Avatar movies, I don't see how he's dedicating the rest of his career to that series. But
because the first one turned out like $1 bajillion.
True, but I feel like at a certain point, it's like can't make any more money. Like he's got so much he can't spend it anymore. Yeah. So it's like, all right, and I feel like that's got to be such a task. I mean, that's why it speaks to he is doing it from passion. It is. I mean, look at the work he's putting into these movies, but it's like a madman's kind of thing. Like, or maybe it's like he's making the biggest video games of all time, and he knows he does. He knows he can make the money off of it, the profit. So he's just doing it. He's like that. This is my retirement. I'm doing it. F all y'all.
Or maybe George Lucas has set the bar, and the directors think that's the ticket. Like if I can create something super successful, sell a bunch of toys, and
I feel like that's where he, because people like to, especially the big defenders of it every time, like it looks like it's happening all over again, where because it's on its way to $1 billion now, like it looks like it's on track to make it in the next week or so.
It made it.
Yeah, I think it made $1 billion.
It's already made $1 billion.
Oh, it did?
Tuesday.
Okay.
Tuesday. Yeah.
Well, I remember seeing comments already where people saying like, "Oh yeah, the movie with no cultural touchstone." Yeah, but I still think the last movie still it doesn't feel like it did hold that much of a cultural touchstone.
It didn't. Because not in my opinion.
But it's because of one reason, and I'd say merchandising, and he didn't really work on building the IP as it is. He just sat there and kept working. He kept so hyper focused on the sequel, and it didn't look like he cared about any other world building going on in the meantime, when he could have been working on that. Like there could have been an animated series or an animated show that popped up that could have shown like how things got to where they were, like a prequel series. That could have been really interesting. Show the conflicts that led up to where we find, where we find things are when Jake Sully first arrives on the planet, because they had already had meetings with the natives before. Avatar program was already in full swing. So
weren't there Avatar toys with the first one?
Oh yeah, there
was merchandising, but it just did not do well, I don't think.
Yeah, like I remember out in Walmarts. I remember it sprinkled out in the Walmarts, and then they just kind of died out.
Yeah, and there was a video game too.
Yeah, remember we played the video game.
Yeah, and the thing was, it just wasn't that amazing.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably the thing is there's some kind of thing you have to do. There's like a secret formula to it, especially when it comes to some big multimedia IP. And I think one thing Star Wars does is there's so much diversity in what you can see, and not in terms of like diversity of cast. Yes, that's one thing, but also diversity in terms of story, environment, stuff like that. Like, look at the original Star Wars trilogy, all the different environments you see over 3 films. You see a desert, you see a space station, you see a snow planet, you see a jungle.
But even before that, though, with just the original Star Wars, it took off because it was something that had never been seen before.
Yeah.
I mean, the technical aspects, nobody had ever seen a movie that looked like that before. Like, this is real. Like, oh my God, I can walk outside and I can see this ship flying over my head. It looks that real. And it just set off this, like you said, this cultural touchstone with kids who just want to see it over and over again.
I think kids are the other huge factor in why Star Wars was so big to begin with was, and this was a smart move on George's part because it was the merchandising.
Yeah,
merchandising. I think
there wasn't merchandising with the New Hope. I mean, the figures didn't come out until way after, right? I mean,
but that's what I think kept that series alive, though. I think is the toys, really. I mean, the toys really drove the lifeblood of that.
And the kids and like the kids buying that stuff, I think helped really keep it such a cultural touchstone for kids throughout the years.
But I don't feel like kids care about Avatar. Like they really, I mean, they care about the movie, and then there's like the toys, but then they don't want the toys.
No, they don't.
Now, I will say in defense of this new movie, it's way more toyetic, in my opinion. I don't know, Ashley, if you agree, but there's a lot of cool vehicles,
animals. Yeah.
But the vehicles in particular, and I was speaking on that
thing.
Yeah,
Joel Schumacher just shuddered in his grave when you brought that word up.
Right. But I just mean like I could see a lot of things that kids would love in this, like kind of like watching the old Predator and Commando movies where the kid translated to toys for kids. With this, man, those vehicles, like I was looking at them in Target, it's McFarlane Toys, and they got the crab machine things. It's like these big basically these crab machine walkers that people like the guys climb into, and they're like crab suits. And they got these big things that crab people. But no, I mean they just they got these things, and then like the little subs and all kinds of stuff. Man, there was a lot of that. That's what I appreciated about this movie, but I still didn't walk away from it feeling like it was mind blowing. Just like with the first one, like with Star Wars, it was something that people hadn't really seen before. And it was like or at least in terms of big theatricality, they had the Flash Gordon version of that, it was like on television, but it was cheap. With Star Wars, it was, the special effects were mind blowing. I think with Avatar, it's almost just like going to the eye doctor, and they're like, is it number 1 or number 2? And then it's just like they gave you a better prescription. So you're just like, oh, it's something that's it's really pretty, but I've seen this before. Yeah. Like it's and
it's not like it's something that Star Wars captured and nobody else been able to capture since, because I'd say another good example of something that's done it in recent history is the MCU. That they've captured a cultural touchstone. I think that's gonna be remembered for decades to come.
Yeah,
and it's just one of those hard things to pull off. Yeah, and I think the reason they did it was they did something just like with Star Wars. They did something that really hadn't been achieved before, which is making a series of movies that aren't directly connected, but they are connected. They, they're all part of this cohesive universe built towards these big events that eventually happen.
Yeah.
And that was something very new for us. When, we saw the first Iron Man movie, I remember hearing the rumor right before it came out that they had put in that post-credit scene of Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury, and people were excited. And I remember waiting through the credits first time I watched it. That scene played out, because we knew like that's the first step. We're watching the first step toward building to an Avengers movie. And nothing like that had really been done before in film. So that was pretty. I remember how crazy that was. Yeah. Anyways,
okay.
Well, I mean, I hate to keep ranting and raving about it, but I felt like it was good, but it still wasn't. Like, I don't know. It's probably I bet it's gonna surpass the first one. I mean, they've already made $1 billion, but it's like it just doesn't make sense to me. But at the same time, I paid to go see it, so I guess it does make sense. But that kind of money feels like you had to have gone to repeat viewings, and I don't know.
Yeah,
so I don't know.
I wasn't gonna be bold enough to make some kind of public prediction and say like, man, this movie's gonna flop. I was kind of hoping it would flop, just because I got so tired of Cameron's like his very braggadocious demeanor about it in all the interviews, and I just got so like my eyes were rolling to the back of my head. So
it is like you said, it is missing. There's something missing to give it that oomph to really wow the whole generation, to say, oh, we're gonna keep this going. We're gonna make it the next Star Wars. They do go. The little kids, I think, are more endearing in this by adding the kids in there. I think that was his way of trying to get that younger, that little kid generation in to watch the movie and connect with it.
And even Sigourney Weaver Sigourney Weaver is the standout of the whole movie. She was surprisingly, I thought she was probably one of the best parts of it.
Yeah.
Like playing that younger version, like she was basically playing a childlike version of herself, kind of like reborn, reincarnated, and it's spooky. But it's great. I mean, she's just so great because there's an innocence to the way she acts that's great. I don't know. I thought it was so good. I could see them nominating her for some sort of an award for that because that's kind of weird. You
Saturn award.
Well, it's just odd. It's like really weird playing this younger, like playing a young character like that in a new digital. I don't know. I could see him trying to tweak something there.
Yeah,
but instead of harping on Avatar, is there anything you guys want to talk about in particular? I know we're wrapping up this year. Do we have any? Do we want to go ahead and jump into best ofs, or do we have anything you want to get off your chest?
I was thinking we were going to go through top 3 kind of nerd pop culture type shows that you enjoyed this year. Yeah, it didn't have to. If there's a particular order you can think of for the top 3, go for it. If there's not, don't worry about it. Do we want to do this one at a time, like go around the circle, or do we want to do like all 3? Around the circle, like we just name our 3.
We'll just go individual, and I'll do my top 3. You do,
Okay, all right,
and I'll go ahead and start.
Okay,
because I know everything. So coming in at number 3 was A Toy Store Near You. I love that show. Okay. I mean, I binge it when it comes out, and the new season 5 debuted like last week in December or week before Christmas or whatever. Absolutely can't get enough of that show. I wish, and they only put out 5 episodes per season. And I wish they would put out 10 because it's so cool. I mean, that's one of my dreams is to, when I retire, own a toy store or, a toy museum, something like that. I mean, just because that'd be like your life's dream. That's what I want to do. I want to sell toys. And when you see these different people's setups, how they got into the business, I just start like daydreaming, like, I wish I could do this. I wish I could do this. And then, throughout the course of the show, each person will show like their top 5 items in the store. And it's cool to see the different top 5s in each store because there's some really cool stuff and some really valuable stuff that some of them have. And then sometimes it's just like, oh, I have such fond memories of this My Little Pony or whatever. And it's like,
I need to jump back on that. I watched a few of the episodes when you pointed that show out to me. I need to get back on it because I didn't know it was still going. It didn't seem like it had only like a season or 2 when I looked at it. So
they were
no, it was great.
They were in COVID, when you did yours, but now everybody's out of COVID. So, they got people. So
the show's going back, getting back strong again. Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet. So, they need to keep going with the Toys That Made Us on Netflix. I would like for them to keep going with that.
The Nacelle company who makes that and makes the Toy Store Near You, they put out like a 5-year anniversary video just last week.
Okay.
Because what is it? What'd you just call it?
The Toys That Made Us.
The Toys That Made Us like kicked off their whole career. Right in the
Because I was going to say it's the same guys. They're the ones that are doing the movies that made us, right?
Yeah. And that pretty much kicked off everything. So they just did like a 5-year anniversary little video for people. It had like all the people in the shows. Kevin Smith, of course, he's got to be in it, in the little anniversary thing. And also now the Nacelle company's into toys. They're making toys. So this little RoboForce figure here.
Oh, cool.
This is from, when I was a kid.
Wait. Keep that there. That looks so. Did I have a little? I think I had like a little comic book of that.
You might have. You may have.
Wow, dude. Yes. Okay. Wow. Okay.
So
yeah, there was like a little comic that came with that, and oh my god, I don't know. I used to have that, or maybe my brother had it and passed it down to me. But I somehow had the little comic.
I mean, it's like the worst toy ever, but I have fond memories of it. It does nothing. I think you might can put water in it, and it squirts out through here.
Wow.
But anyway, so that company, outside of doing these shows, bought the I don't know if it's the license or actually bought the rights to. I mean, actually bought the franchise for RoboForce, and they're redoing them. But they look nothing like this. Of course, they have a little bit of the same aesthetic, but they have like legs and arms, and they're in the midst of releasing them here shortly. Yeah. And they look really, really cool. And they've also purchased something else too they hadn't revealed yet, some old toy license. So yeah. Okay. But no, highly recommend you go check that out, especially if you got Amazon Prime. Why not? I mean, the shows are like 20 minutes long. So it's a real fast, you can watch a whole season, in an hour and a half or whatever. Okay. And it's really cool. Number 2 on my list. Actually, we talked about this last time, is Andor. I know we talked about it in the Outer Rim News podcast, our show, but I wanted to give some more props to Andor. I thought it was the best Star Wars show of 2022, and there was some yeah, there was some competition with Kenobi, and what else came out last year?
Was that Bad Batch? Did Bad Batch season 1 come out last year?
Or this year? Some of it. I think it was split there towards the end of last year. And then
I think it was last year. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Book of Boba Fett was what it was. Yeah. Book of Boba Fett bled over. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Andor topped the chart for me, and it was like not only was it a good Star Wars series, but it was a good series altogether. If you took the Star Wars out of the series, I think it'd still been a really good series. So it definitely topped anything and everything else that I've seen. And then of course number 1 is Peacemaker, because Peacemaker was just great.
Yeah.
Have y'all all seen Peacemaker?
I haven't caught up on it yet.
Oh my God. Peacemaker's
fantastic.
Good. Peacemaker's really good. Although I got a feeling he may not, last. I don't know. Even, at this point, I don't even know if we're going to get a season 2 of Peacemaker. It was very popular, but I think James Gunn might be.
I don't know. I'm not too sold on that. Yeah, I'm going to say this. I'm going to hold my breath until January when he actually does announce what the plan is, because he's being very coy about all the stuff he's.
The rumor is January 6th.
Yeah, so January he'll tell us, and I guess we'll find out then.
Yeah, I don't know. Talking about that whole situation, if he cuts, which he's already cut Henry Cavill, Ben Affleck, Gal Gadot, or we think.
Well, we don't. Yeah, so other than Henry though, he himself has not said anything other than just he's doing a new Superman movie with Henry Cavill. Everything else is still conjecture. Everything else is still rumors from other people making speculation. So we still don't know what kind of story he is building. Like it could be a hard reboot, or he may have something else in mind. So I'm not gonna as deflated as I am still. I'm gonna wait till January to see what he actually says.
If I were a betting man, I think he's gonna kill it all.
With
the exception now of depending on how a few of these movies play out this year.
Because I don't think because he really enjoyed. I don't see him cutting it out. I don't know. It just seems hard for me to see him cut off something that he genuinely enjoyed making. You see him talk about how much he enjoyed working with everybody. I don't see him just doing that so flippantly.
I don't think it's flippant. I think this has been a long, calculated thing. I mean, even though he did come, Henry Cavill announces he's back. The next day, James Gunn is announced ruler of DC Studios. I'm sure he's been playing the long game with this. He and Safran have been building.
Well, it wasn't too long, because remember, there's also the conjecture that other people, Warner Brothers was begging tons of different people to take over, and nobody wanted the job.
But sometimes that news comes out way after all that stuff has already happened. It's just like sometimes when they announce, oh, this person is going to play this in Star Wars. That person was signed on 8 months ago. It just couldn't say anything until Disney press decided it's time to announce this news, right? Because he's been writing. I think he's even said on Twitter, he's been writing the Superman movie for a while now. So I think he knew, he was getting or close to getting that job, and he had the Superman thing under wraps. He's even said, even before any of this stuff blew up, I think, oh God, he was on Twitter talking about a music playlist. He said he was writing a movie, and he said, "This is in my top 5. I could show you my Spotify top 5 right now, but it includes a song from a movie I can't talk about right now that he's currently writing, Superman, which was a few months before any of this played out." So I kind of got a feeling a lot of this stuff, has already been known. It's just now coming to the forefront.
I'm just gonna hold my breath though till January. I don't think he's gonna be so easily like all these business relationships that he's built up since he started with DC. Yeah, I don't think I don't know. I don't see it that he would just so easily cast off all these people that he's worked and built a good relationship with already. Like Henry Cavill was one thing because he never really worked with Cavill. Yeah, he don't, but like people like Idris Elba, Margot Robbie, Sylvester Stallone, or maybe John Cena
come back as somebody else.
Possible, but I'm just saying, like I don't know. I don't see him throwing all those people away so easily. So I don't know. Maybe I guess we'll find out what the plan is. Yeah, and plus I don't think they're going to get rid of Shazam. I doubt they're going to get rid of Shazam, but it'd be just because that's Peter Safran's baby.
It is, but if the rumors are he's getting rid of Jason Momoa as Aquaman. And if $1 billion
but that's movie, still just a rumor too. Yeah, like everything is still just a rumor.
We'll find out the 6th.
Yeah, I don't want to see Lobo. I don't want.
I'm hoping for a full sale reboot.
My eyes are going to roll in the back of my head if I hear the word Lobo pop up.
I mean, honestly, I'm just hoping for a clean slate, reboot everything, start over, get away from the darkness and bring back. And when I say comic book, I'm not talking Joel Schumacher crap. Don't get me wrong with that. I'm talking about comics, like today's comics, or you bring Superman back from. Don't make it so character driven that it gets bogged down and.
But also, don't make Superman 3.
Don't make Superman 3. No, don't make Superman 3.
Here's one thing.
I kind of like Superman 3. But
here's one thing I
like Superman 3 too.
Don't make Superman 4. Don't make Superman 4.
That one's hard. Oh.
Yeah. Here's one thing I just really I'm annoyed at the prospect of returning to again. And it's the status quo Superman that I was so glad we got away from. Even starting with Man of Steel was the secret identity Lois Lane stuff. If we have to go back to that, where he's constantly have to like, oh man, I can't tell her my secret because I have to protect her. If she knows my secret, she'll be in danger. I'm so done with that. That needs to be something that's done away with so fast in the first movie.
Well, he's going to be a younger Superman.
I still think it needs to be done away with. Smallville did away with it. Yeah. By the end, and before he was even Superman himself, Superman and Lois never needed to deal with it. Man of Steel, they didn't have that aspect exist at all. I'm just a dual identity in that sense with like I have to protect the people I love by not telling them who I am. It just seems like dumb, unnecessary drama. I can understand the world at large not needing to know, but the whole dual identity stuff, you can see it's become a thing where in all superhero movies now, nobody wants to use it anymore. Spider-Man, they did away with it real quick. They got rid of that in Far From Home as soon as they could. Once he started having a relationship with MJ, that became a thing where like I need to tell her, and that became a story point.
And now she doesn't know again.
Yeah, now she doesn't know him at all anymore. So
yeah,
I don't know. I just it,
and he sees the error of his ways, telling her too.
Yeah,
that's
I
why
wouldn't mind a story where they include like secret identities, but it not be an issue or the crux to the story, or like something that the plot relies on. Where, yeah, like you said, where it puts their loved ones in danger. How
like,
about it's just a secret identity? I'm just saying,
identity
how about
crisis.
it's just a secret identity and it's just conveniently, kept a secret and it's just not part of the story and we focus on, that's what I'm saying. I would love for somebody to be able to do that in a great way. You know what I'm saying? That I wouldn't be mad at that.
Yeah. Because I going back and looking at like even the Christopher Reeve Superman movies, I got so tired of that, like going back and watching that, the whole keep my identity safe from Lois, to the point where it became problematic to look at, especially the second movie, because he has the amnesia kiss after they've done some stuff back at the Fortress of Solitude.
Yeah,
it's like, you may not remember this, Lois, but you and I, we had a thing. I don't remember that, and we did. So you're saying I don't? You roofied me?
Yep, I super roofied you.
I kiss
with my saliva. I was going
to say my kisses make you forget things. I call them my forget-me-nots. So what's your other one?
That was it. Peacemaker's top is number one.
Oh yeah, Andor's number two.
Andor.
Okay, so
Peacemaker.
I would say
Austin, or do you want
I
to
can go next. I would say for me, it's tough because there's so many shows that I need to catch up on.
Okay.
I would say probably top 3. Yellowstone's going to be in there because it's just such a great show, great like original new content. I would say that. Obviously Willow. Willow's like that's my number one. I loved Willow so much. So I mean, it's still going, but it's just everything so far. It's giving me what I want. The only thing is it's the music, not the score, but they add songs sometimes in the show. And the latest episode I'm watching, it's now a creep into the actual show. And I'm no, not in my show. But it's weird because it's only one of those things where it sticks out, and once it's gone, and the show's totally fine. It's just whoever makes those choices, I need to have a talk to them. We got to get on the phone. I'm a nice person. Just talk to me. We need to come to an agreement on something.
We need to hash some things out.
Yeah, we need to hash some things out. But anyway, I thought that was great.
Well,
and I would say,
speaking of Willow, though, I tried, dude. I honestly tried. I tried. 20 minutes into that first episode, I just had to give it up. I'm like, I ain't even seen freaking Willow yet. Willow ain't even in this show. Is it called? What is this about?
Wait, you haven't even got to Willow because he's in the show. You just have to.
I know.
There's a lot of setup to get the journey going.
Dude, I gave literally 20 minutes in. I just finally cut it off. I was like, I have not seen Willow. This is just all about these Mad Morgan's bad kids.
Well, okay. Well, anyways, he cut off the pilot. But no, I thought that was great. But I'll say the one show that people aren't talking about that's just like I can probably rewatch this was the show Light and Magic on Disney Plus. It's a complete anthology about the company Industrial Light and Magic, about how they started with George Lucas and Star Wars and then carried on. Man, you get some great nuggets, and not just Star Wars stuff, but even other movies. One thing in particular I loved was they showed some really cool behind the scenes clips of Ghostbusters 2 that people just haven't seen before. And they actually got to work on that one. And I just thought that was neat, but no, that show, if you haven't seen it, Ray, or anybody is watching, it's like, I think let me look it up. It's like
6 or 8 episodes. Isn't it?
I feel like, 6 to 8 episodes. It's similar to if people have ever watched the Beatles Get Back that came out last year. This is the new documentary series on Disney Plus that for especially for Star Wars fanatics. But then if you just love like special effects and cinema and Spielberg and all that, this is the show for you. It's really, really, really good. So I would say those are probably my top 3, but I do have to give 2 honorable mentions that I don't think people are talking about enough. Mike Myers, the Pentaveret, was actually a great comeback for Mike Myers. It makes me want him to come, like, keep giving me material. I actually thought the show was funny. There were great jokes in it, like especially just jokes with the cinema itself and the differences in like Canadian humor and cinema versus American like cinema or television and our humor, but just a lot of that stuff. But actually funny, because if anybody saw The Love Guru, we all thought that Mike Myers had passed away.
What channel is that on, or what stream?
Netflix. It was a Netflix show he did. So, and it's a real fast show. You could binge it really quick because it's like 6 episodes or something like that, and they're only like 20 something or 30 minutes a piece.
But the great thing is that that whole series is based on a monologue joke from the movie So I Married an Axe Murderer.
Yeah, the whole movie of Mike Myers.
Because I think that was one of the first movies where we saw Mike Myers do the thing where he plays multiple characters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because he plays his own father in that movie, and part of the joke, like, his dad has, like, he talks about this conspiracy constantly of the Pentaveret. And with his Mike Myers Scottish accent, he talks about the Pentaveret, the conspiracy. And so he decided, like, you know what? I'm going to build a whole show around this idea. And he did.
And also, one more show that people, I feel like they aren't saying anything enough about, Man vs. Bee. That's also on Netflix.
Oh, it's Rowan Atkinson.
Rowan Atkinson. If you love Mr. Bean, it's a very physical comedy kind of show. It's very simple. I mean, it's like one of those very easy watches, but it's so funny, and like you can have your kids watch it. It's all about a man fighting a bee, and it's I think 6 episodes and
of a man
quick.
Fighting a bee.
Yeah, and do you know Mr. Bean?
Yeah, I know.
So picture Mr. Bean versus a bee, like trying to get a bee out of a house for 6 episodes.
It sounds like a dumb idea, but the thing is, Rowan Atkinson is that kind of genius with comedy that he can make it work.
Yeah, and it's not just like silent comedy. He talks, but it's a lot of that physical Mr. Bean physical humor. And oh my God, it's so funny. It is so funny. Like, especially if you love, stuff like that, slapstick humor, and like Home Alone and stuff like that, and Looney Tunes. It's just, it's done. It's done very well. I'm assuming it must have been a BBC show and then, sold over to Netflix. But yeah, I would say that's in terms of television shows, that's my top 3.
Okay.
What about you, Raymond?
All right. I'd say my top 3. I'm going to stick with shows that started this year, because one that would be on there would be The Boys. But I want to give a shot. I thought season 3 was great, but I want to stick with stuff that came out this year, so I can kind of give it a shout out. So, oh God, oh no, I'm blanking on. Oh yeah, so Peacemaker was one. I did I thoroughly enjoyed that beginning and end. Great performances. John Cena showed that he has some range as an actor.
Yeah,
like really good. I would say in terms of like actors who have jumped into the threshold of like or wrestlers that have jumped to the threshold of trying to be serious actors, I would say he's just through Peacemaker and Suicide Squad. I say he's topped, at least in my opinion, he's topped The Rock, but not Dave Bautista. I personally, I put Bautista at the top.
I don't know, man. I put Cena at the top.
I would say he's close, but there's just some other performances that I've seen Bautista do where it's just like I want to root for that guy, so I end up putting him on top.
He's a good actor.
Yeah. So Peacemaker would be my third one, and with the shout out being the highlight would be the House of Pain scene. Obviously, that's for me. That's a highlight for the whole series. That's one of my favorite moments.
Oh God, that was so good.
Just the whole idea that he processes his trauma and pain through listed all this 80s rock music.
Yes.
Another show. So the other ones would be The Legend of Vox Machina. That would be an Amazon Prime.
I knew you were going to say that.
Well, it's an animated series on Amazon Prime. It's an adaptation based off a D&D homebrew campaign for a YouTube series called Critical Role, where a bunch of voice actors who are friends get together and they play a weekly session of D&D. And then Matt Mercer, voice actor, he builds these giant, huge homebrewed campaign stories where he's like, he's almost kind of set a new standard of storytelling within how people play Dungeons and Dragons now. It's gotten a lot bigger in terms of like making a big epic story for your characters instead of just fight here, fight here, fight here.
Mm-hmm.
But so what they did with Legend of Vox Machina is they took that campaign, that big first campaign, and they started trying to adapt some of the big stories from it into these into like a seasonal storyline. And the first season's a really fun one. A lot of comedy, very raunchy, but also just a great fantasy story in itself. And my number one would be probably not number one, but I'm going to give a Marvel show a shout out. I'm going to say Miss Marvel. I was not expecting to enjoy that show as much as I did, but great performances. I was rooting for the character throughout the show, beginning to end. Costume design, especially her end suit at the end, awesome design. They did a great job with the costuming. And between that and She-Hulk, I ended up leaning toward Miss Marvel a little bit more, just because I personally, I just didn't connect too much with how they ended on the last one. Up until that, I was loving She-Hulk. And overall, I still enjoyed the show as a whole. But I guess in getting so faithful to the comics in terms of the fourth wall breaking and the meta humor that the comic relies on, it kind of lost me personally. It just didn't click with me leaning that hard into it. So I give Miss Marvel the edge on that one in terms of the better MCU show, or the one I enjoyed more.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So out of those, what about Moon Knight? You didn't care for Moon Knight?
I didn't really, to be honest, I really didn't like Moon Knight. I thought I was kind of hoping I would, because I had a great cast. Oscar Isaac, awesome. Ethan Hawke, awesome. I didn't really know the girl playing the wife. I didn't really know much about her, and she was good actor. She did a good job, but there was something about it that just did not click with me. And like, I think one thing that really annoyed me was at the end, they just decided to cop out on the big final battle by just suddenly having him have an amnesia, or have a moment where he goes out of the action and then he wakes up and then it's done. It just felt like a writing cop out, so they didn't have to deal with how do we beat the bad guy? How about this? He gets snapped out, his personality gets snapped out, and then when he comes back, the bad guy's beaten. And that's
it didn't do much for me either. I was really disappointed. With that show. It
ended on this point where I think where my thoughts were, I want Oscar to stay around. Like, I don't mind him sticking around as Moon Knight, but I would rather somebody else take over the create, like what he does, like that showrunner, whoever that showrunner was. No, don't touch Moon Knight anymore. Stick with you go somewhere else. Find your own thing. God, let him become part of some group like the Midnight Suns or something like that, and do that.
Well, that'd be cool.
Yeah, I was like, I'm sure I'm fine with seeing him again. Just let's not use that writer.
Yeah.
What about top 3 movies of the year?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I can do that too.
I can do that dance.
I can do that dance. At the very top is Top Gun Maverick. That's, to me, that is the best movie of 2022.
I agree. That was my number one.
I thought you were about to say that was the best movie of my life.
No, that was not the best movie of my life. But
play that at my funeral. Just play that movie, and then just don't say any words. Just Paul Bears, get up and tote me out. Just start the movie on a portable DVD player and set it on my casket, and y'all just tote me on out just from the credits on.
So, did Spider-Man?
No Way Home was last December.
It's December of last year.
Yeah.
So see, there's not even really a Marvel movie.
How about this? Do you want me to create
Black Panther doesn't make
it?
Wakanda Forever didn't make it onto your list?
Not really. Not really. What'd you say, Austin?
I was going to say in my list I was going to try to create a loophole for you, but actually I didn't. But I do have a shout out because it's like it came out at the end of last year, and I feel like it should just count as my movie of the year because I've watched it so many times.
What is that?
All right.
You want me to go ahead and give you all mine?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, go ahead. No, give me your.
Okay. So I'm going to say
the Maverick.
Top Gun Maverick is
easy. Number one.
Easy. Top, but way above everything else.
What was your end of the year movie that you wanted to add from Marvel? What was it?
It was Spider-Man No Way Home.
No Way Home.
Yeah, but if it came out in December, we'll leave it in December. You know,
right.
For everything that came out this year, it's tough. I mean, the Batman was good. Again, it was one of those movies I went into and I didn't immediately come out feeling all that great about it.
Mm-hmm.
But I've watched it a couple of times since, and it's kind of like every other DC movie. You know, it's pretty decent. You know, so I'm kind of enjoying that a little more. Then after that, I mean, I've seen lots of movies in the theater. Well, all the superhero movies. I'd have Avatar would probably be the number 3. Honestly, yeah. Because the Marvel movies have just been such a letdown for whatever reason. Thor, Love and Thunder, Doctor Strange.
Well, see, I thought Doctor Strange was excellent in theaters. I thought that movie was great.
I think
that
might be on my list actually.
To me, they didn't live up to being Marvel movies. You know,
right.
I came out of those movies feeling like I do when I come out of a DC movie. Like, it was kind of, you know, there were some cool things on the screen. I don't feel like I came out entertained enough to, you know, like the only DC movie that I've ever out in the DCEU maybe was Aquaman that I came out feeling pretty good about. Black Adam, it was okay coming out of that, and Aquaman did have its faults with Jason Momoa's acting and from some of that, but that'd be my top 3, I guess.
Okay.
I would say Top Gun Maverick, definitely number 1. You can't contend with that. That was just, especially in terms of going to the movies to see a movie, and I got to see it in 40X, which was a plus. Then watching it at home, it's just as good. It's just, it's like, wow, what a movie! Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. That was such a fantastic movie. You'll love it. It's such a fantastic movie. The story is mind blowing and so out there, and it's so original. It's something you really haven't seen before. But it plays with time jumps or not time jumps, but dimensions like multiverse jumps and things. But very, very in a very weird new way. Then it incorporates martial arts at times, which is always good. I love that. But then the acting and it's really strong on the Asian actors. But Michelle Yeoh, I have been in love with her since I was a little kid. Like my dad, you know, raised me on Jackie Chan and Bruce Lee and all that. And I remember in Super Cop, and then she was in James Bond, and then she was, you know, and then from then on there, you know, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon was her big break, you know. But now this movie has broken her through to a whole new level. And it's funny. It is so funny. And the triumphant return of Ke Quan. Short round. Yep. And I mean, he is one of the main characters of the movie. I mean, it's just like, wow, where have you been for 30 years? So or however long. It's amazing. I thought that movie's probably gonna go down in history for sure. then I'm going to give this movie a shout out because it's so dang funny. And if you're a fan of the source material, and then just of cinema in particular, it's great to watch. But if y'all haven't seen it, check it out. Weird, the Al Yankovic story.
I want to see that.
It is so good because number one, I don't know if y'all have been watching or have been paying attention to these like the rock biopics that have been coming out recently. You know, like Bohemian Rhapsody and Rocket Man, and just in general, if you're a fan of rock legends and things like that, and you'll watch these biopics and The Doors or whatever, you've seen them all. It is basically, because what does Weird Al do? He's a parody songwriter.
Yep.
And so this movie is basically just like a big parody of that genre, and it just takes liberties with his life to the point where it's just bonkers. It's just so good. And then Daniel Radcliffe, of all people, Harry Potter, just a phenomenal job playing, Weird Al. And then I don't know, it's great. And it's a love letter to the Weird Al fans, but at the same time, it's more of it introduces you to him if you don't know who he is, but at the same time, it really plays with your head. I don't want to go any further than that, but that was a great movie. But I have to say, it's weird. I have to consider this. I have to call it out because for whatever reason, this whole year, I've been finding myself repeatedly watching this movie. And maybe it's a guilty pleasure thing. I don't know if other people are experiencing this, but it came out at the end of last year, The Matrix Resurrections. I, for some reason, have to put that somewhere because it's just after it came out and it sank me. Because when I first watched it, I'm like, I probably won't watch that again. And then I just kept going back to it. I want to in my brain, I'm like, I just want to watch some fighting. I want to watch some action, or I just want to see something with Keanu Reeves or something. But I don't know. It's just, some people hate it. I love the movie.
I'm in the minority that I enjoyed it. I walked out of that or not walked out because I watched it at home. Yeah, but I remember even finishing the movie and I was like, I like that. I enjoyed it. It felt like it was, because I remember, what was it? I think Lana, who was it that did this? Because there's only one of the Wachowskis. Was it Lana?
It's just Lana. Yeah, Lana's the only one that did it this time.
I think she said one time in an interview it was after the Matrix Revolutions, and I don't know exactly how it came, how the thought came to her, but she was thinking about her parents who had passed. Both her parents had passed, and she was thinking well, if I can't have both of my parents, back, I can at least do this thing in terms of this fictional world. I can bring these two characters that I cared a lot about. I can bring them back. And it almost felt like it was an epilogue way, it was a way for her to give some kind of happy epilogue to the story that she, to that original trilogy, because it was a bittersweet ending the first time around with that trilogy. So I liked it. It seemed like she was trying to go for something that looked a little brighter and hopeful in the end, because it did feel more hopeful.
For everybody, including the main characters, not just for the world without them. Yeah, no, I agree. That was, and on a technical level, it looked great. I love it. Shout out to whoever. They must have had somebody specifically in charge of getting the color right for Neil Patrick Harris's character, like his glasses, his suit, and getting the color correction and all that on the camera, because it looks, if you haven't seen it in 4K, it's immaculate. It hurts your eyes how sharp it is. But I just appreciated all the big action set pieces in it, all the kung fu shout outs. They were all still there. So I was happy that a lot of the essence of the original movie wasn't forgotten. And in particular, I mean, people, I hate to say that, but there's an anime and kung fu influence there that needed to be there. I didn't want it to be too preachy. You know what I'm saying? It needed to be heavily, shrouded in on its sleeve with all the creators' fandom. That they love kung fu and anime and all their influences. And it was this all over again. But this time you got to see the same main characters not finish their story, but sort of, give the kind of regain their story, because, and also they weren't like a backseat driver, like Han and Chewie in Force Awakens jumping into the action. It's like the story revolved around them. It was him and Trinity. And so, yeah, they were the heavy hitters the whole movie. I really appreciated that. You know what I'm saying? I'm glad that they didn't play second fiddle to some next generation Matrix people. You know,
it seemed like that was going to be the case, and then it it switched gears real quick.
Very, yeah. And so I appreciated that movie. That was sort of my shout out or my special mention.
Okay. I think I could do my 3 pretty quick. Maybe pretty quick. I've got 2 of them. I'd say, okay, I'll throw Multiverse of Madness in there because I really did enjoy that. That was the first time I'd seen in a long time I'd seen an MCU movie where you could really tell the director's style. Like when I saw that, I knew I was watching a Sam Raimi film, which was really new. Like for me, like you really couldn't tell with a lot of Marvel movies. Like you really couldn't. But that's also because there's not really a distinct style a lot of directors have, especially a lot of directors that the MCU chooses. There's not a specific style in filmmaking that you can automatically look at and just say, yep, that's that person. But Raimi has a very specific style. Like you can see these certain angles, you can see these certain motions with the camera, and you look at it and you go, yep, that's Sam Raimi. That's like Evil Dead. That's like oh God, what's the Liam Neeson movie? Darkman. So I'd say Multiverse of Madness is in there. Another one, Prey. Surprise hit out of nowhere for me. Fantastic. Probably to me, best Predator movie since the original. It's probably in terms of quality,
I'd say
up there with it. I'd say it's like tied in terms of quality of storytelling. And my other one would be an out of nowhere late edition, Violent Night with David Harbour.
How's it going?
Violent. Oh my God. Over the top action movie. Die Hard meets Home Alone. You got an old, and it's great too how they lean into Santa mythos for this story because Santa basically gets caught up in a hostage situation.
So he's really Santa.
Yeah. But the cool thing is the reason Santa's doing an action movie, why he's capable of doing this is it's revealed you get the first, I think, confirmation of like a third of the way, I think. Would that sound about right, Austin?
Yeah, it's pretty much. They already start hinting pretty heavy.
He used to be an old Viking. He used to be a Viking back in like he went by the name Necromunda the Red. And they keep the magic. The magic is something that he doesn't even fully understand himself. So a lot of it's still kind of unknown to him. He just knows that it does things. So they keep it mysterious enough, but also they give you this believability of like, this is why he knows how to fight, is that he was a killer long time ago. He had a big hammer that he called Skull Crusher. He says at one part, back in the day, I would have been at the top of the naughty list. So it was just a fun, wild action movie ride. It was really, really fun. Great. It's going to be on my Christmas rotation, I think.
Yeah, it's probably gonna make its way on mine now. It's good enough.
Get a 4K copy, yeah. And David Harbour, you could tell he's just having a ball with the role. They just have fun with some of the action sequences. There's a great one. He gets a hammer finally, like he finds one, and you can see like that twinkle of old of the warrior he used to be just really coming out. And then there's just this huge set piece of just him just annihilating this whole Spec Ops group throughout this barn, and it's just bloody fantastic to watch. It's over the top. It's just amazing. Sorry.
Well, but before we go, so what's the one thing in 2023 you're looking forward to?
Oh, okay.
Just the one thing, the one thing, the most. What are you looking forward to the most?
Oh man. Do you have something, Ashley?
Yeah, I'll go.
All right.
I'm looking forward to The Flash because I'm looking forward to see how it's going to affect everything going forward with the DC films. And second, I'm looking forward to January 6th, where we think James Gunn is going to unveil some stuff at this Warner Brothers.
I was thinking about like last year, or this time a year ago, you don't want to be saying that.
Yeah.
Or no, what it'd be like 2020. It's like, I'm looking forward to January 6th. This video right here, sir. This video hurts.
All right.
What
Anybody else?
I would say since you have that one, Mandalorian's probably my number one, just because
that is next year.
Mine and my wife both are looking forward to it, but we're also really looking forward to the Jedi Survivor
video game.
Video game, because it's just we're counting the days. That, and she's looking forward to Hogwarts Legacy, but us both we're looking forward to So
okay, that's
probably mine. Mandalorian for sure. Gotta see my baby.
There's so many that I'm looking forward to, but if I had to pick one, I think I'm looking forward to the Dungeons and Dragons movie coming out next year.
Wow,
it's got a stat cast: Chris Pine, Hugh Grant, Michelle Rodriguez, Justice Smith. Oh God, what's her name? Sophia Lillis. It's got a great cast, and it's got good writers. It's the guys who did like a Game Night. I think they wrote Spider-Man: Homecoming. So they've got a pretty good, crew working on it all around. So I have a lot of faith that this one's going to be a fun action adventure, comical fantasy.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Well, I was very much looking forward to it until I saw the first trailer.
You didn't like the trailer?
Nah, dude. I was like, this ain't. I guess Dungeons and Dragons, that you can do a lot of stuff in that world. It wasn't what I wanted from it. I wanted more. When I look at like the Mythic Legions action figures from the Four Horsemen. That's what I was wanting Dungeons and Dragons to be, and it looks like a comedy, kind of, instead of full tilt fantasy, kind of thing. But that's just me. Sorry.
I'm looking forward to that. And close tie will probably be. I'm also looking forward to Guardians 3.
Oh God, I forgot.
James Gunn finishing off his story, like it's going to be his kind of swan song for the MCU. So it's gonna be I expect tears watching that one. If the trailer itself was fantastic, and great music already, being used in it. In the meantime, that's a great song.
Yes, it is.
So
I had that CD as a teenager.
All right,
alrighty, Austin.
I guess that's just gonna do it, man, for this week. Do we have any hauls that we want to talk about? Or
we can do that.
Any toys or?
I don't have hauls, but y'all can go ahead and haul.
Okay.
But
I can do my Christmas haul real quick. Smaller thing I'll start with. My wife got me this because I had Percy from Vox Machina. She also got
oh, sweet.
Vexalia, I think is how you say your name. This is voiced by Laura Bailey. You may know her, voice actress. Does a lot of stuff in the voice acting world. And the other big thing, she won Christmas with this present. She got me the guardianship.
Sweet. That is cool.
Yeah. So I've got my own, I guess that's the Milano. No, the Benatar. I think that's their second ship.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then it looks like they got another new one, I think, for the third movie. Is that what that's supposed to be? Is that a new ship that they?
Yeah, and it's got some 80s character name too.
Probably another singer or actress. Yeah.
I don't have it on me, but I was going to see. I think Ray, you showed it off before, but it's a cool story. I was at Target and they have the Boba Fett, the throne room Boba Fett from Book of Boba Fett.
Oh, yeah.
Deluxe figure marked down to $15.
Oh, wow.
In Target. So I go to grab it. I scanned it and looked at the Target app, and online it was $11. but it was sold out online. So I just went up to the front and asked them, "Hey, can you price match this?" So they just price matched it. So I paid $11 for the Throne Room Black Series Boba
And that's
Fett
a deluxe figure too.
And it's a deluxe figure. He's awesome.
Awesome.
That's a great figure. I would say though, my favorite toy of this year is probably going to have to be what I got. Well, I mean, we got it after Christmas, but remember the Cobb Vanth figure. I love that figure. That thing is so cool.
That's a great one.
But yeah, no, I got that, and then for Christmas I got a few records and stuff. I got those Shadows of the Empire soundtrack on vinyl. So
no, sweet.
I'll be able to listen to that while I read my Star Wars books or comics or whatever I'm doing.
That is cool. You gotta have that background music, man. It puts you into it.
No, that's what we do. We'll throw on like scores, like soundtracks and stuff like that, and read comics and stuff.
Nice,
sweet.
All right,
guys. Well, I think that's going to do it for this new year, man.
For this old year.
Well, no, I say New Year, but it's like the New Year Eve.
Oh yeah.
Going into the new year, I just hope that everybody is well, doesn't get sick anymore from COVID, and just is happy and healthy. And I'm just looking forward to 2023 because I want to tease everybody and say we have big things, but we really don't. We have big things coming up.
We got big things coming.
We got big things in 2023.
More announcements. More announcements. Stay tuned. Wow. Stay tuned.
You need the real Ghostbusters.
Nice landing, Han Solo.
Spaceships and Luke Skywalker sold separately. Batteries not included.
That toy life.